Roadmap, Oubai, for Manbij. It's a three-step plan, and we're going to see cooperation between Turkey and the US to ensure the security of the area.
In the spirit of allied cooperation and partnership, those were the words of a joint statement released by Washington and Ankara just shortly a while ago, as the U.S. and Turkey continue discussions on the way forward, specifically on the contested city of Manbij, a strategic city that was once held by Daesh. It is now a YPG stronghold, which is, of course, is the Syrian offshoot of the PKK. Now the question is this roadmap going to be effective? Let's not forget that this is just a pathway, not necessarily the conclusion, but it seems that the initial discussions in Washington between the Turkish foreign minister and the U.S. Secretary of State seem to have been positive, as they released a joint statement where both sides were positive that they could cooperate together against terrorism in all of its manifestations, which was, of course, a signal that Turkey, which considers the PKK a terror group, which is also considered by the United States as a terror group, cannot be allowed to continue to operate in Manbij using its alias, the YPG. So some initially very promising discussions as we saw this joint statement between the U.S. and Turkey and Washington, but there'll be some time to come with whether or not these discussions will lead to something sustainable and tangible in the long run, and whether or not the U.S. can force the YPG to leave the strategic city of Manbij in northern Syria.
Yeah, this agreement being hailed as something of an important step towards mending relations. But very briefly, Oubai, what are the possible obstacles?
Well, a positive obstacle here is the YPG forces itself. It's expanded its political power, not only its military power, throughout eastern Syria. Whether or not they would be amenable to remove their forces from Manbij is going to be possibly a stumbling block, and also whether or not the United States will adhere to the promises that are being made. Of course, the U.S. had promised previously that the YPG forces in Manbij would be removed from the western side of the Euphrates River Valley after Daesh was defeated in that city. That did not happen. So now the big question is whether the YPG can hold on to this agreement, and whether or not they will remove their forces based on the agreement and the discussions with the United States.
Oubai, thank you. Oubai Shahbandar in Gaziantep there. Guatemala.